Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I am Manali, an architect based in Germany, and today's video is an absolute treat. We are diving into some fascinating realms of architecture, technology, sustainability, climate changes, and even exploring some cultural shocks in various countries. So I am beyond excited because I have got two brilliant minds from Berlin. They have been my personal mentors since a very long time, and finally I have convinced them to share their German perspective about the world. So they are not just talking, they are trying to make some real changes in the society and trying to make world a better place to live in. So stay tuned, stay connected, and let's start this beautiful conversation with my two absolute favorite. Let's get started. So welcome to today's podcast. Today we unravel the mysteries between architecture and universe with some wisdom and wit. Yeah. So today we have two brilliant professors with us. One is Professor Florian and one is Professor Andre. So could you tell us something about you, what about your profession and what you do currently?
Thank you for having me here in this podcast and this film. I'm very delighted to do this because I'm a professor here in Berlin University of Applied Sciences and Technology, and I had a professional time of 6 years working in Chennai, Anna University, in the Center for Environmental Studies. So I have a very close connection to India.
That's super.
And I'm still happy if we see Indian students here in our university.
And since how long are you teaching in this university, Bihate?
I was abroad for almost 10 years. 6 years of this period was in India. So after that I came here, that is 16 years ago.
Can you tell us some cultural shocks that you faced there?
No, cultural shocks not, but India was of course a challenge in those times to go there, work there, be a professional there, and had all this private experience coming from a European perspective, living in India in the fourth largest city, in Chennai.
So you learned a bit of Tamil.
Yeah, Tamil a little bit. I can say vanakkam, like hello in the university. We always spoke English, but of course in the street we learned the numbers, and I learned to say, okay,
and your wife
I don't speak Tamil koncham theriyum.
You don't speak Tamil, and that's what you learned.
That's what I learned, but mostly we could get along with English. That was nice. It's a nice point about India, that you have a common language. Even colonialism was not nice in all its perspective, but some aspects are good, so you can communicate with all Indians in English.
But that's a good thing, they were a bit mixed with culture, Indian culture.
Yeah.
And I know your wife also cooks Indian food now at home.
They love Indian culture. We all love in the family, we all love Indian food. My wife has become a yogi. I'm doing yoga every day. So I like Indian spirituality. And I like the Indian culture, and I love Indian people. Yeah, they're a bit
warmer than Germans, do you think? This is a stereotype in Germany.
It's a dangerous
Germans...
question. So I think partly, you could say that.
Do you think Germans are cold in general?
Not in general, but in some parts of their life, they get a lot of things, but they are unsatisfied, and so that's different.
I know, when I was new in Germany, the only thing that I could observe is complaints.
Yeah, complaining a lot about everything. Yeah.
That is something people can have in common. That is something get along, complain a little bit together.
You're complaining, I am complaining, okay, let's complain together.
But I think the German attitude is very nice in the sense, once you've broken the ice, you have a friend forever.
Once they become your friends, they're friends forever. So that's a very nice thing to observe. And going on the point, you introduce yourself now.
Yeah, I'm not from the Indian tribe. I'm more from the French tribe, from the Huguenots.
Yeah, your name is Andre.
Yeah,
it comes from
Deschamps or Deschamps, because of the war between Germany and France in 1871.
Okay.
Then it was quite dangerous, and in World War II, World War I, dangerous to have a French name, and then they changed it they Germanized the name of the French name.
So you're a mixture of France and German.
Well, actually, I'm only the rest of it, because I can't tell you any French. Not a sentence, some words, but not a sentence. Okay, I worked in the field for maybe 10, 15 years.
10, 15 years also.
And then I figure out that you can talk about Roman chapels and about Gothic churches. You can talk about it for the next 20 or 100 years, but they won't be there if you don't act now. So
no people will, acting.
People will be around because a lot of things are changing now, and you have to react now because you have to do something. But feeling you have to do something.
So you are more into action now and teaching young architects, no?
Yeah, and teaching architects about what brought us together was climate aims and
climate change
and energy efficiency in buildings, and that's when we start when we met us and start our fellowship.
Work together.
So you are environmental scientist.
Yeah, I work
and you are like a god of architecture, I would say. No, I would say god of architecture. Let's talk about your experience while teaching as a professor. Like you're still teaching, but I want to know about different students. Like, did you had any fun experience with students, or do you have some sort of memory that is still funny for you guys? For example, you taught in India, and you taught in Oman, and maybe Germany and Ankara. So do you have some of your favorite moments and you were like, oh my God, that's so different from German students, or this is a culture shock for you, or like, what is the special moments? We all want to know.
Like every holiday is a cultural shock sometimes. Not that it's a shock, I wouldn't say a shock, it's an experience, it's a surprise.
What was a surprise that you had?
You don't know what happened, so I don't read so much before, because then you have a barrier, because the more you read, the bigger the barrier. So let's handle it there. Some rules, okay? Don't give a hand to a Muslim woman or so. That's okay. You forget it for sure, and then sorry. So but
these are the cultural shocks that you might have also faced, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
But that's not a shock. It's when we start the first lecture, so we have all these, it was mostly ladies, it was 40 students, and 5 boys among them. And these 40 students were only covered in black. Yeah, and it looks very like a big painting. So a lot of black birds sitting there. And then I said, okay, I want to know what is your idea of architecture? How does it come from that you wants to study architecture? And if you don't want to say anything, I say, okay, it's a different country from Germany. If you just like to say anything, you can leave the room, because maybe you get problems with your family because it's a patriarchat, so you don't know what's going on afterwards. So I don't want to press you to anything. But every one of these young women told me the whole story, and one was very excited and said, my parents dislike it and my brothers dislike it, that I've become an architect, but I will study architecture and I'm doing it now. And so that was
rebellious, like a bit.
A little bit.
A strong vision of their own profession. They want to do it.
And I thought, maybe that's strange. And
even if society is not favorable to that kind of
and so, but because they told me most of them, they study architecture, but it doesn't matter if they study architecture or medicine, because they will get married to a rich, nice man. Yeah, as most ladies or most girls would like to, and then they will they can't work in their field anymore, because it's not because of the laws and the culture. It's more or less not allowed in some exceptions to the rules. And so, but it wasn't that case. So a lot of them were very proud to do it.
Very positive. I see it always in a historic perspective as well. We had similar views here in Europe. We should not think we are top of the world. Maybe we have developed and we have given more freedom to women workforce, which is actually very good for our economy as well.
Like women are more active.
Yes, and we are benefiting from it very much. So
it's quite easier from the cultural.
Always encourage the young ladies to really study, also study technical fields that I like very much in India as well, because we have very good professionals even in the field, classical male-dominated engineering fields, and we are proud of it here, even as a university, if the share of women is growing each and every time in the different subjects of engineering as well.
I want to ask you, is this profession about making a better world? Like, do we have to be visionary? Because without visualizing, which is not existing on the map or on the streets, how can we become a true architect? So my question is like, do architects have to be a true visionary? Because the main question that I have been asked several times is, what is the difference between an architect and a builder? You know?
Just take a bridge. So if you have a bridge from a civil engineer, so I don't want to blame them, but they do their job, and they minimize everything, and they have to optimize everything. So, and then you have a bridge. But if you have a bridge from Calatrava, for instance, so you have all these small spines and stuff, so that's design, and that is the difference. So you have to, like if you can have a chair, and you check the design, or you have to combine the design with a function, and that's the point. So if you do more in one direction, then the problem. So a lot of if the students with other colleagues, maybe with me, I'm not sure. So they start their design, and then they fill the rooms, and then they get from these rooms they go outside, and then you have a facade with every window comes from the inside.
Yeah.
And then you have a look at it. That was when I studied. Yeah. Then you say, "Oh wow, it looks dirty, so it looks strange." So what to do? So and you have to combine it. If you draw some lines, then you have to think inside and outside, and that's the point. And it takes me about 10 years. I hated these floor plans when I was a student, because it looks like if you want to do a skirt or trousers, so only lines and lines and lines. That's not. I just like pattern. Yeah, and so then I found out that it has to happen in that way, and you have to combine both of it, and then it's getting a real building. And if you don't do that, then it looks like maybe 20-30% of our environment now. So they start inside. And so, as a civil engineer, you have to be concentrated on the construction. It has to be in the financial frame, and it has to be stable enough, and that's it.
Nowadays, you do everything with software. I'm always amazed to see what the architects do. That's a very good question. Do you think like quality is being compromised in today's era, or like are we going towards a good technology, but on one hand, we are filled with good technology, we have amazing softwares, we know what we want to build. But on the same side, I feel like this creativity is being compromised a bit. And do you think like it's happening because you are being a scientist, you're working with the environment? I think what we need is not artificial, or we need artificial intelligence, but what we need is intelligence as human beings. I'm talking like a scientist. I say we have to save the planets within the next 20 years, I would say, and we have to build our buildings in an energy efficient way. So we have to stop thinking only in whatever design, like just design and the highest building in the world. I was at Burj Khalifa, 848 meters high. It's nice to see it, but does it make sense in a way of energy efficiency? If there would be a wind turbine on top, I would say yes. But I think as a human beings, we need to think globally. We have to act globally, and we have to find solutions together with India, with China, especially for climate change. And there we all have to work together. Architects, civil engineers, nicely said. I'm thinking about hydrogen now. There is something about hydrogen. Yes, a chemist working together with an engineer. So Haber-Bosch revolutionized the production of nitrogen and ammonia from nitrogen. Ammonia was revolutionizing the agriculture in this world. We could not have as much people on this planet without these two guys inventing with a patent what we call Haber-Bosch process to produce ammonia. My vision now is that we have the same process in taking carbon dioxide out of the air, synthesizing it with hydrogen, and making green hydrogen. And this creates a base for a totally new industry. Yeah, Europe is investing in a lot of fossil-free industry. We don't need fossil fuels anymore because our planet is going to collapse. And we are very close to that point. A German professor, a colleague of us, Mr. Scheppenhofer, he was defining this 2 degrees goal in the climate conferences. So that's a tipping point.
Yeah.
And we are close to that. This
How
month
much
we
time do you
heard
think we have now?
no time.
No time.
We have
Like on the
this
clock
clock?
over there. Yeah.
it's a German saying, 5 to 12. So
We
act
have-
now. And we have to put our workforce together worldwide to work on these issues. One of the issues, of course, is hydrogen.
Right.
Gives part of the solution because from there we can synthesize all carbon products we need for our industry, like plastics and oils, everything we can do on the basis of carbon dioxide, which nowadays it's an emission. But I'm saying, as a visionary professor,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
carbon dioxide creating nuisance today
Right.
will be the new raw material of the future.
So this is the solution that we found.
Yes, and we
Yeah.
need carbon one day
Right.
to construct, even to do carbon fibers for architecture. But we need, and carbon dioxide will have a price in the future. It will be costly. Once we have green hydrogen produced in a sufficient amount and at a good price. Nowadays we talk about 3 to 5 euros per kg hydrogen. Once we reach €1 per kg hydrogen, we are in parity with the other energy sources, and we have a real chance to save the planet. And we are on its way.
Yeah.
Europe is investing a lot. Other countries
I
as
heard
well.
like about trillions, like billions and
Yes.
trillions of money. And what are the action that we are actually taking towards the emission of hydrogen, and we are changing it in a different way?
Climate change international conference is just going on. The moment we are speaking, they are sitting together and negotiating.
How many years would it take for us?
It takes as long as we need to really understand that what we are doing to the planet in burning fossil fuels. Now we have energy crisis here because of Ukraine war. So Germany had to be very quick to search other sources of energy.
Yeah.
Now we are still buying liquefied gas, also from Arabic countries, from the
And they
United
get it
States.
from Russia, so
India is buying a lot from Russia, but we still, it doesn't matter where you buy it, but when we burn fossil fuels or coal, we are creating emissions. And we know as a scientist that these emissions are raising the temperature level to a level which will cause a lot of damage to our Earth, to our present living. All coastal areas
And to
are
our
at
future,
risk.
especially.
Are at risk.
Right.
And you should say it. We scientists, we are saying it since 20 years.
Yeah.
Slowly, politics are
and
reacting.
if you do it quicker, like we have a progressive green government now, and if they fire on this process, then there's a lot of movement against it. So and then it could happen if the quicker they go, the more they are in danger to lose the power of the governmental power. So that's the point. And if this happened in Germany, so I wonder what would happen in all the other countries. So
Germany is still acting faster than other developing countries, I would say. Like we are struggling with the basic things right now.
That's what I mean.
No, but we need the big players.
What
we need
do they
India on our side, on the side of climate action, and they are doing a lot, I know.
Yeah, India is also very active in these aspects.
Yes.
I was reading about it, and also India is also taking actions in terms of hydrogen, and they are also thinking about, government is trying to invest in it. But let's see, like, how long
they
will
need
it
support. That's the point.
We need more green energy. Renewable energy should grow in the years to come, and it should grow much faster than it has grown in the past. And sometimes we are still talking about, this is an alternative energy. No, not anymore.
No.
It's one of the major energy deliveries in electrical fields. They are already there. Now we have to substitute also
Like
our fossil fuels for heating.
Right.
Cars will be on electricity.
On hydrogen.
I think hydrogen will not succeed in these areas. It will succeed more in cement industry and steel industry.
And houses.
That's where it will come first. Houses
like
only in the sense of
about the big things.
of the production of cement. But even cement one day will not be produced as it was produced before, or other construction materials.
Next year, so they have to be has to be reduced because new taxes is getting more and more expensive.
I think we have a reconstruction, or what you call revamping rate of old buildings, reformation rate in Germany of lower than 2% of the old buildings.
Wow.
But really, to succeed with the climate goals, we need also this process to accelerate much faster.
And you have to get in these buildings
insulate
too,
our buildings.
But like, what is the solution for this? Do we need people, or do we need technologies that can be implemented without people?
We need both.
We need both, right?
We need people to produce the right technologies. For example, in my house, I'm using a heat pump now.
I was about to ask.
Yeah, I'm not using oil or gas. No oil and gas. We are doing it. We have a PV system on the rooftop.
Yeah.
That is supplying the energy which we need, electrical energy, to run a heat pump. A heat pump is generating the heat you need in a cold winter time. Now we have -4 degrees outside here when we are talking in this interview, so you need to heat up your house.
So how do you
in
do
India, you would need an air conditioner. Yeah. In my case, I have a solution. I have a heat pump producing heat from electricity.
Okay.
And I'm having an electrical car, so whenever I have enough sun in summertime, I charge the car in my own house. And of course, if you have a nice metering in your house, you can also recharge from your own energy storage. Or you get it back from the government. You can have different kinds of solutions, but you're almost able to live emission-free.
In Muscat, Oman, it's a hot country.
Yeah.
And if without the air conditions, they have to dig into the earth. So about 54 degrees. So, and then you have to find solutions, as you said, a mixture from history, like we have in Alhambra, we had a project there. So they have these ventilation systems to get the air in, and they put, for instance, just a simple model, they put these bottles of clay filled with water, and that cools the air if it comes through the window. And you sit underneath the window. You don't get the air on your neck and get problems. So you sit underneath and have your tea, and they get cooled air, only 2 degrees. That makes sense, and it goes off and into the building and off a small.
But like these are like this kind of shapes, and are they made up of sand?
No, this kind of the shape.
Yeah.
But they have a big surface, and it works with a lot of other small parts, and to get this knowledge and put it together with our new technology, to find a way, not only to put only digital stuff into a building, and you need the craftsman with the cargo trousers every day to repair something, check it, or something is gone, broken, whatever, no spare parts, and so that causes trouble in future if you don't find a way in the middle. So that
we have seen that in Turkey. We made an official trip to Turkey, and we have seen a governmental building. They have taken the whole underground, what we would say cellar here in Germany, and they have constructed mud walls, wet mud walls, and the whole evaporation energy
it's a tunnel effect, you mean?
was cooling the governmental building. So it was a 1 kilometer labyrinth, they call it a labyrinth system. It was a very interesting architecture based on a very ancient principle of evaporation, but using it in a very modern environment. Oh, sorry.
Jeho.
Jeho, my son is calling. That is Nandan calling. I have to come back in a few minutes.
Yeah, I mean, you can take this one, it's okay. Now I want to shift the topic towards one of the very famous topic in India. Architects are usually using, like architects are not using, but have you heard about Vastu Shastra?
Yes.
Or like Feng Shui?
Yes.
In China.
Yes.
So these are some of the design ideologies that clients in India want to implement into floor plans. For example, our kitchen has to be in a particular direction, our entrance has to be northeast, something like these kind of philosophies. Do we have something similar in Germany? Or does Germany follow some sort of ideologies in terms of culture or, like beliefs?
I'm not the architect, but I would say no, not in a spiritual way or in a more religious-related way. We don't have this. But of course, we have it in a practical way. If we look at the farmhouse from the 18th century, they had the kettle on the lower side of the building because the kettle is also producing heat, so heat comes up. So the floor and the flooring in the first floor is already heated up a little bit. And on top, they will dry and they will store the hay, the dry grass, which is again an insulation. Once snow and ice is lying on the rooftop, the cold is not coming into the house. So it's a real intelligent concept which has grown with the experience of people over the centuries. That kind of
more like practical stuff.
That practical things will be there, or a kitchen is oriented towards the east because there the sun is rising, so you have sun in the morning. Things like that are there, but it's not in a spiritual way that you have to make a direction change of a whole house. It's more in a practical approach, I would say.
To take the right actions, it requires many years. But what I mean to say is, like, for example, we have really good separation among the type of garbage in Germany. Like you have plastic separation, then you have the kitchen waste separation, organic. So these kind of separation we really need in India or a developing country.
We have even some project in Kanpur is going on.
Yeah, we have
India is active in Andaman Islands. Yeah. Kerala is very active in that field. That was a G20 project.
Right. Yeah, G20 Summit. Yeah.
Germany had a contribution, but in the G20 Summit from 2017. Now it was in India. They have also looked at the projects which were executed, and there was a project on marine litter, which I was involved also in the planning. And there were 3 areas selected. One was Kerala, that was the port area of Cochin, very important port in the south of India. Indian scientists even found a solution for multi-layer plastics, how to make use of it. But in generally, I'm saying we should think about the whole solution. Whatever you produce, you should find a solution for recycling. That's how we should think, because we should learn from nature. Ecology is showing us how to do it. But we have not reached now this level. Kanpur, as a non-seashore city, but in the middle of India, on the Ganga River, they have a lot of plastic also floating in Ganga River. And how this can be reduced, avoided, how we can design MRFs, material recycling facility.
Do you think like government has an idea, like maybe 10 to 20 years it will take to completely sort out all the waste that we had from the past and rearrange what is coming from the future?
Yeah, we could easily calculate it as scientists, but it's a dynamic process. We should start with degradable plastics, or we should increase our recycling rate for plastics. And plastics themselves, they should be made of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and hydrogen. And as I said, green hydrogen. Don't burn any more fossil fuels and bring back the plastic in what we call a circular economy. European community is working very strongly in that issue because we know that we still have a plastic and we have a recycling problem.
So we had a beautiful stay and had a look at the architecture in Istanbul, and we sit on our hotel terrace, and we had a view over the Bosporus. And then I say, okay, I want to jump. I will be back in some minutes. I jump in the water. And there's a Kennedy Road. We have to cross the Kennedy Road with a towel. And then I stood in front of the water, and it was rubbish everywhere. It was a carpet of rubbish.
Did you take a swim in Gangas, by the way?
In Ganga, no, I didn't.
Thank God.
Yeah, and it was dolphins, maybe 1 key away. So, but there was this, and you couldn't go there, nowhere. So I was walking 1 kilometer, and so there was no way to get into the crystal clear water. And there two young guys came along and said, asked me, have you an idea where can we have a swim here? They have towels too. I said, yeah, that's a question for all 3 of us. You have to solve it. I have to solve it. It's your question. So just work on this project for your life. And so then I came back to the terrace and said, okay, before I die, I will work on these projects because there's no chance anymore. So you can't escape. That's the point.
But maybe like I understand that you said that about the action, like spreading awareness, but like maybe through these kind of podcasts, we can actually convey a message.
When we design a product, where we start, from which chemicals we start off. Can we use what we call green chemicals? Can we design a product in a way that I can recycle it, or it can degrade in the environment, or what is going to happen in the end?
Like
so
to
that
find the end solution.
That's responsibility for the producers. Was also a part of the G20 project.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is enhanced producer responsibility. So you as a producer, you are responsible for your product. And if your product comes in a package, you're also responsible for what is happening with the package. So that enhancement of responsibility and taking care, that should lead us to a point that really all materials can be recycled in what we would call as an ideal vision in a circular economy.
That's a very good explanation, actually. Now, like, this is very clear that once you think about a product, you have to also think about the end result of that product. Without thinking about the end result, it will definitely cause a lot of problems in the future generation.
And we should start from scratch.
We should start now.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Absolutely now.
With these products, the more you take off from these countries, from India, for instance, the more you have to bring back support.
But
So
maybe to bridge that gap or that discussion is that when we do a training for the government officials here, but before they enter to their job, they have a choice to go in the training program. And we are offering a training program where we will harmonize the knowledge of both groups, where we say they're heterogeneous, civil engineers and architects, but both of them, they need some knowledge if they work in public administration. And that kind of additional training for 1 year, Professor Deshan is responsible for.
But is it the course
he's offering that course. Architectural plus.
All right.
And in the future, we will accept civil engineers as well in the same line of career, and we will add whatever and educate whatever is missing for their career in public administration. They can learn with us.
Tell something about your experience in Turkey.
As something nice which we witnessed from our perspective, we have different approaches. No, if we talk, for example, in Germany, if you have a building, we call it sustainable building. In summer times or in days with sunlight, we try to catch as much sun from the outside to bring it inside the building. So we call it solar gains. We try to get heat inside our house. It's a solar gain. So in the Turkish environment, we're having a classwork. We work with Turkish professors, and then the Turkish professor, one of them was saying, we have solar pollution. I said, God, I never heard that. Like, what is solar pollution? So for them, it's vice versa, because they have a lot of sun. They don't want to have the sun coming in the school building. The school children are learning there with 30 degrees and above. So they call it solar pollution. What we call solar gains, they call it solar pollution, and they have to construct the building in a total different way. So in that sense, we can also learn from Turkey. Because also climate change is hitting us in the future. We cannot orientate our buildings as we have done in the past, only looking at solar gains. We have to look at solar pollution as well. In some areas of Germany, the heat is coming up more and more.
Absolutely, in India also.
Yeah, it's the same way.
I think in India would
so we
be
have to learn from each other.
and they can learn from us that they can use these PV panels for cooling down the building, so that they have maybe mud brick walls with a special system running in with a heat changer, so that you get the heat into cold water and let this cold water running into the walls and get a cool atmosphere into the walls, and don't talk about pollution anymore. So then you have partly you can get gains too.
So with the heat pump system, you can cool the building. So there's a solution in New Delhi, for example. It has cold and hot climate, so you need a system as such.
We have extreme. In Delhi, we have everything extreme. We have hot summers, we have cold winters. And houses are not prepared for that. We have too many people in Delhi. And I don't think, like, the major problem is pollution right now, which we all are dealing with. And the moment you enter Delhi, you can smell it. It's smog everywhere. And I don't know, like, but the government is trying to take the action, but it's not working because we are many people.
It's too slow every time.
But it will work in the future. As the patterns are there. We also suffered a lot of smog. We had acid rain in Europe. So step by step, we worked on
what I mean. It's slowly,
and we minimize.
But it will work if everyone is working on it, and if private. I think these private partners. The other thing is that every individual has to work on that field and has to think about it. You can't do it with laws that won't work. So people will wait behind the corner and throw something away if they're not clear in their minds. That's the point with everything. So
absolutely, we had this solution from the Delhi government that we had odd and even system. So one day, like
this is like Mexico City.
Yeah, but I don't think it's working.
The number plates even and the odd ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's working. Mexico is working, but people react to that, and they have two number plates. So that is not very intelligent.
That's what I mean. If they're not clear in their mind, if they don't see it's my problem. So if I try to be clever than me, that makes no sense. So
we need technological solutions. That's what I think. As a scientist, we have gone beyond the point that we cannot go backwards, like in our level of living, the level of living we're having. So if we don't want to go backward, or we don't want to cancel all the things we are enjoying now, we have to work on technological solutions. And maybe we have to go back in one or the other point. We cannot fly everywhere we want in the future. We have to see a carbon balance for all the people, of course. And that's where we also have to discuss, as Germans, with a high consumption level, with the Indian society, in an average, always divided by people. In India, it's a small number.
Wow.
So that kind of discussion is going on internationally now. And I think also as a world community, we should also think that ourselves as human beings, we cannot grow as much as we have grown in the past. We cannot grow and consume more and more resources. So we are already overwhelming the world with a resource consumption.
So we have to stop at some point.
Yes, our footprint is too big.
Yeah, footprints.
We should work on that. And we should work and find solutions altogether as human society, not as Indian, not as German, not as the Chinese, but we have to work together to understand that, we can only save the planet if we act together. So, if you had a good time, hit that like button, subscribe for more cool talks about saving the planet, and drop your precious thoughts on the comment section below. We also have a part 2 where we will explore more about professors' likes, dislikes, about their life adventures, and many more. So, keep it easy, keep it going, keep it fun, and remember, small actions add up to big changes in the world. So catch you up on the flip side. Don't forget to like and subscribe.